news channel after news channel after news channel. Ever wonder why they report the same news? This is Wake Up America.
Brought to you by Citizen Stringer.
The media has become absolute lunacy. What makes us different? We just tell the truth. Daily headlines, politics, social issues, focusing on headlines that the mainstream media ignores. Conservative to the core and honest, sometimes to a fault. Unapologetically American. Welcome to Wake Up America with your host, Stephen Oatley.
And Adam Jungers. What's going on? Hello, everybody. Nope. No audio. Nope. All right, we'll wait till he gets that fixed. And we didn't do a sound check because Adam was in the shower. So we didn't get a sound check before. And he can hear me too because he's cracking up. But he'll fix his audio. I've got it on, so he'll just interrupt when his audio does work. Anyway, my name is Steve, and that was Adam who's having the sound issues. It's kind of nice that he's having the sound issues and not me today. I'm really happy about that. So it's good. Today's going to be an interesting show. We're going to talk a little bit about the January 6th riot that happened last year. It wasn't a terrorist attack. We'll explain why we believe it was a riot and not a terrorist attack. It was still a really bad day for Americans. It was a bad day for American conservatism. It was a bad day for anyone that considers themselves a patriot. It was a horrible day if you believe in election integrity and so much more. So we'll talk about that. But first, this show is sponsored by Spartan Armor Systems. If you're unfamiliar with who Spartan Armor Systems are, they're a body armor manufacturer based out of Tucson, Arizona. Their website is SpartanArmorSystems.com. Great company, huge supporters of our show. They've been with us for a long time. Over a year now, and we have another 8 months in our contract, so they're huge supporters. I encourage all of you guys, if you haven't gone over there, buy a hat, buy a t-shirt, buy a patch, buy a pouch, buy some body armor, and if you use code YEET, that's YEET, you get 10% off your order. So, I mean, it's a hell of a deal, especially if you're buying like a $500 tactical body armor set, and normally I would cut right now to Adam, and he would hold up his body armor, but he has no sound. So we're not doing that. He's trying to fix that. And it looks like he's actually frozen. Like, look, you want to check this out. Look, it looks like he's frozen deep in thought. See? but I think his camera's frozen too. He's probably restarting the whole thing. So I guess, we'll go back to basics for right now, and I'll just try to run through this the best that I can until he does pop back on. And he'll pop on eventually. But yeah, so it's interesting, the whole J6 thing. Actually, before I get into the J6 thing, I want to talk about some breaking news that happened out of Seattle, Washington today. We know that the rising crime rate in Seattle after they tried to defund the police and then refund the police and the protests and the riots that have taken place there over the past year. Well, today was no different. There was a robbery that was taking place. Seattle police were dispatched to the robbery in an apartment, I believe. A K-9 was pushed into the apartment, a Seattle PD K-9, and unfortunately that K-9 was stabbed to death. Another police officer was injured as well before another responding police officer fatally shot and killed the suspect. According to the Seattle Police Department, around 2:45 p.m., the resident of a home in the 2200 block of South Eddy called 911 and reported that a man armed with a knife was breaking into their home. A K-19 arrived on the call, saw the suspect again, and began pursuing him as he fled on foot. In the 6700 block of Swift Avenue South, a police dog engaged the suspect. The suspect then fatally stabbed the dog and injured the officer in the struggle that ensued. Another officer arrived on scene and fired at the suspect, fatally striking him. That's a quote from the Seattle Police Department. They say they will release body cam footage of the incident within 72 hours. We know after all the riots and the protests and the massive amounts of destruction last year, that is one good thing that came out of them. Police departments are pretty quick to release the body cam footage when there's a police involved shooting. Now, instead of waiting, to protect identities of people that may be featured in that body cam footage, they're typically releasing it pretty quick, sometimes in a matter of hours. We saw that with, I believe it was Detroit or Chicago or one of those areas up in the Midwest, where that young 16-year-old was shot to death by police. Everyone said he was unarmed. And when the body camera footage actually came out, it shows him pointing a firearm at a police officer from about 10 feet away and firing. Luckily, that he didn't know how to shoot a gun, apparently, and he missed. Somehow, God intervened, and he missed that police officer, and then he was shot dead. It also, body camera footage being immediately released, solves some rioting that was planned to take place in Washington, D.C. You guys may remember there was a 20-year-old that was let's see, Adam, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there he is.
All right, cool.
So he's good. So yeah, in Washington D.C., there was that 20-year-old that ran from police. Or I think he was a minor as well. Actually, he ran from police because they suspected that he had a weapon on him. Turned out he did, and he allegedly was pointing or nearly pointing at. It showed the body camera footage showed him running with the gun in his hand towards a police officer. Police officer fatally shot him. It stopped some protests there, and then there were riots in, I believe, Rochester, New York last year, or no, it was Pennsylvania. I forgot where. But you may remember body cam footage because we actually covered that. They released the body cam footage within a couple of hours, and protesters still rioted. It didn't even matter that the guy was clearly in body cam footage charging at the officer with a big butcher knife. And again, it just shows our criminal justice system. Everyone talks about how bad it is, right? And that people get locked up for nothing all the time. Well, this guy had stabbed 4 people just a few years before that in the very same apartment, and he got out of jail and was threatening to stab other people and then attempted to stab police officers as well by charging at them with a knife over his head, essentially saying he's going to kill him. Police officers fired and fatally killed him, and then they rioted. And that night, for anyone that watched the protests and all that stuff with us last year, you may remember that night because it kind of sticks out as there were a lot of nights that stuck out, but that night stuck out quite a bit because that's where the cameraman that was on the ground there in wherever it was in Pennsylvania, when they found out that this guy was charging at police officers with the knife, the cameraman, who was supposed to be a neutral journalist, said the police officer should have given his life to protect the life of the man that was stabbed or trying to stab him to death. Very outrageous, mind-boggling ways of looking at life that we won't ever understand. And that kind of leads us to this whole J6 thing, because one of the videos, and I don't have it queued up because I don't even care that much, Ted Cruz calling it a terror attack. I'll be honest. And here's my thing, and then we'll get Adam's input on this in a minute. And I'm on a roll, so I'm just going to keep going. The thing that's interesting about calling it a terrorist attack, like I would be inclined to agree. If you want to call it a terrorist attack, that's fine. Call all the other attacks on federal buildings and federal police officers that happened in 2020. There were well over 120 of them, where federal officers were injured. In fact, in D.C., just a few months before that, over 60 Secret Service agents were injured, 12 of which had to go to the hospital for their injuries when peaceful protesters violently beat the shit out of them in front of the White House. But I mean, who actually cares about those things, right? Those were First Amendment protests. We understand that's the way the left and the right is portraying that. Like, as much as Fox News tries to be, real, they're not, and they can't be, because they're beholden to advertiser money. They're beholden to whoever is paying for all this propaganda around with the COVID vaccines and all that stuff, not going down the conspiracy web. But there's a lot of stuff that media is just not reporting now, simply not reporting. Like, if I had any reason, you guys know the reason why I got into the media business in the first place, and it wasn't because I love this shit, because I don't. I actually hate it. Every single day I wake up and I talk to Adam, and Adam will start nodding his head in a minute. Right before we got on the call, 5 minutes before the call, I call him and I say, I don't want to do this shit. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about the same stuff. I don't even know what we're going to talk about. And Adam can attest to that, but I just talked for like 15 minutes. So, Adam, now that your microphone is fixed, why don't you do your job? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So oh shit! I just turned it off.
No, it's working.
Yeah, there we go. I already cursed in the episode right off the rip. That's the first word everyone heard. Listen, here we had talked, and we were talking about not wanting to cover January 6th. We don't want, but why? going forward in the next 24 hours, much like the last 72 hours, much like probably the last 2 weeks in most of the news cycles for most of the major media networks, every single headline, every 8 minutes has been about January 6th. If it's not about the January 6th commission, it's about one of the Republican rhinos like Liz Cheney that's trying to bring down Republicans in this for what happened on that day. All they want to do is just bring down a party based on events that happened on that day. Listen, I don't agree with what happened on that day. I think it was embarrassing, right, for the Republican Party. I think it was embarrassing for people that voted for Donald Trump. And quite frankly, I think it may have cost the election right there. And that's all I'll say about that. But we have to look at this from a different kind of angle here. Look at the headlines that have been coming out. New York Times, Capitol Police and the scars of the January 6th riot. New York Times, this is, again, another one from them. Far-right extremist finds an alley. This is all related to January 6th. Democrats move closer to setting up a January 6th commission with or without GOP. That was, several months ago. These news outlets are solely focused on this. This is all you're going to breathe and hear tomorrow. If you expect to hear something about a police shooting like the one we just told you about, right? You're not going to hear about that. All you're going to hear about is this, a giant mockery of our nation that day. And they're just going to keep pushing this narrative. It's an excuse to get out of actually talking about anything else and doing anything else. All they've had is failed policy after failed policy after failed policy. They came in the administration. You guys remember the first 3 months. I'm just going to rant here for a second. The first 3 months that they were elected, they didn't do much. We were wondering, where's Biden? Where's Kamala? Remember, we were asking, why isn't Joe Biden talking to the press? Why isn't he coming out and doing a press conference? Because they were waiting for the country to just get super bad. They were opening up the borders. They were letting migrant numbers increase. They were getting these caravans on the way, and all of these problems compiling. Then they knew Americans were going broke. What did they do? They extended out the rental assistance. They extended out the eviction process, moratorium process. So what they did was they put a bunch of other people in harm's way too. Now all these people are coming to collect. Banks are going through foreclosures. People are getting evicted. Inflation's on the rise. The cost of goods like ground beef is $8.99 a pound here in Atlanta. I don't know where you guys live, but I'm sure it's over $6. And they don't have any excuse for it. All they can do is stay focused on two things: Donald Trump and January 6th. They're never going to let this go. That's all they care about, that and vaccines.
That is their excuse. No, you're fine. That is the excuse. We've noticed that it's been a pattern ever since January 6th occurred. Because before Biden took office, every single thing that went wrong was attributed to Donald Trump. And since Joe Biden has taken the office, every single thing that's gone wrong has been attributed to Donald Trump and J6. It's in literally everything. They've literally continued that path. Now, you'll notice something is changing. It's changing a little bit, and that's why I think we're going to see an overload. I even said to Adam earlier before when we were pre-gaming the show, I said tomorrow, I guarantee I'm going to watch the morning news, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, today we got a chance of snow, and coming up at 6 o'clock, America was attacked a year ago, or something, and just it doesn't matter. Every single broadcast, they've been doing it all weekend anyway. But here, real quick, I forgot to do it in the beginning of the show. I want to give a shout out to 10-year-old Ryan from San Antonio, Texas. You're an awesome kid. Your mom was great in that interview last night. I did not get a message from you, so I could send you the free teddy bear. So if you are watching, turn this off because you're 10 and you shouldn't be watching this. But I appreciate you watching in the first place. But anyway, so it's for anyone that doesn't know, typically I jump on TikTok after and spend like a half an hour just interviewing random people on TikTok. And last night I forgot his mom's name. I wrote down his name and said I was going to give him a shout out today. But they were good, from San Antonio, Texas, and I wanted to give them a shout out. But yeah, in terms of what's going on with January 6th, because here's the thing, everyone knows where I stand. Like it doesn't help anybody for me to say the same thing, but I'll do it again just in case we have new viewers. I believe anyone who crossed through that building today or a year ago tomorrow, anyone who crossed through that building, not through one of the open doors that was being held over by police, held open by police officers, we're not talking about them. Anyone who broke through a window, climbed through a broken window, and whoever the person is that wiped shit on the walls of the Capitol, my Capitol, All you guys are criminals and deserve. You should know going into that if you climb through a broken window to enter a building, while they're chanting outside, it's an unlawful gathering, everyone must leave, you know damn well that you're committing a crime. And you could still go forth and do what you do that day and feel I don't know how you could feel proud about doing something like that, but if you have some warped sense of duty and that's what you needed to do to stand up to the electorate and all that stuff, then that's fine. I understand that, but you should also stand up to the fact that, I mean, you did commit a crime. It's like if I broke a window to get into a building because I disagreed with who was in that building and what they were doing in that building, I still broke that window. I still committed that crime, and I would still be proud based on my determination. I would know that breaking that window or crossing that threshold makes it so I'm no longer just protesting, I'm committing a crime while still protesting for something I believe in. And at that point, you must have made a justification. I'm not someone that thinks that people that climb through the windows are innocent and that was their right to do. I'm not. You know why? Because that, just as everyone says, oh, I'm a taxpayer, that's my building, I can go in there. Well, I'm a taxpayer as well, and I say you don't have the right to break the windows. So it's in a catch. But to say it's a terrorist attack, to say you can't say that's a terrorist attack. If you want to call something a terrorist attack, let's here. We're real quick. Here's a terrorist attack for you. The 2 New York City attorneys that firebombed a police car. That's a terrorist attack. The people that were throwing explosives and shining lasers in federal officers' eyes in Portland for 150 plus days. Those are terrorist attacks. People that burned down precincts across America. Those were terrorist attacks. What happened at the Capitol was a riot. By definition, was a riot. There was nothing, you can't distinguish it as a terrorist attack. People say, oh, it's a terrorist attack because they were attacking our democracy, blah, blah, blah. Everyone was objecting to the electorate. So what about the previous century where every time a Republican won the presidential race, that Democrats objected to the electorate? It is something that is in the Constitution to object to the electorate. That's why they can do it. So you can't call Republican Congress people traitors to our country unless you're willing to go and hold the same standard to the Democrats who in 2017, I believe there were 17 Democrats in 2017 that objected to Donald Trump's electorates. 17. So and that's the thing. That's why when I was sitting here trying to figure out what the best way to approach this is, because I think we have a responsibility as well to cover this, but we can't cover it. We can't, everything that we say, even though we watched it, Adam and I watched it live. We were both live streaming it live. You know, we had camera crews there. We were talking to the people on the ground there. We knew what was happening. We both made a determination not to go on January 6th because something felt off. You know, I had Quincy there that day. I begged him not to go before we went, because I just had a feeling something was wrong. Something didn't feel right leading up to that event. And now we find out that, in fact, something was off, that there was a plan that was put into place to breach. And we see it. We see what happens. I'm going to have a story come out with John Sullivan. There's more to that story. And this will be a breaking story, so I'm not even saying anything about it. But it's going to make all you guys go, that's pretty interesting. But I'll have that story tomorrow at some point about John Sullivan. They always say Antifa wasn't involved in the Capitol. We know that. John Sullivan is currently facing 6 or 7 federal felonies, including lying to police officers, possessing weapons. You know, they talk about all these people that had dangerous weapons when they broke into the Capitol, except they neglect to mention the fact that one of them is a known Antifa operative who on camera says that he's Antifa, who sat in an interview here saying that, oh, I was just there as a member of the press. Well, why are you offering knives to rioters and insurrectionists, as you call them, to get, to pry open doors? There's so much that we will never know about that day. So much we will never know about that day because they don't want us to know. And so it's annoying, to cover it and to feel like, okay, no matter what we say, there's going to be so many people that watch mainstream media and catch the lies or don't catch the lies, that just believe, blindly follow. It's kind of like what they were talking about on Joe Rogan the other day, where people just, if you beat it into their head so many times, they're going to start to think that it's real. And that's what's going to happen with J6. No matter what anyone wants to say, that is what's going to happen.
It's kind of like climate change. They beat it into their heads so much. They just got to believe it's real. Sorry, I had to lighten the mood up a little bit there.
I was like, oh my God, he's baiting me. He's baiting me.
Listen, a couple things that nobody wants to talk about from January 6th last year. What about the 2 bombs, the one that was placed at the DNC and the RNC, right? They don't want to talk about that at all. Because why talk about that? They're only focused on what happened in that event. Another thing somebody's not talking about, you and I talked about right before the show, is the hundreds of thousands of other people that were in the streets of DC that weren't at the steps of those Capitol steps.
Probably
I was reading an article. Oh, dude, it was so. I mean, we were live streaming it. We know you and I were on the phone when Donald Trump was still speaking, and that first wave of people came up the Capitol steps. And he was still on stage. We were looking at it side by side. And so to sit here, and I'm looking at an article that was released just 12 hours ago saying that the timeline is that Donald Trump was done speaking, and an hour later that people are racing up the Capitol stairs, and it only wants to break down what he didn't do that day, And like we just said, he's their saving grace in the news right now. But let's not forget this. This was also a big, huge operation. Listen, I wasn't even there. I had the FBI at my house just weeks afterwards, and I'm comfortable talking about it now because I don't really care anymore. I understand what was going on. But they came up. I mean, they came here not with force, but they came here and they wanted to talk and they wanted to see everything I had, and it was a scary moment, and I wasn't even there. Right. So to see the power of our government and what they're able to do, and as far as coming after conservatives, that we don't just deal with it from social media. We don't just deal with it from crazy liberal Democrats. Now we have to deal with it from our actual government and the people that are elected to represent us, which should never have anything to do with that, right? Yeah. If you participated in the riot, you go to jail, you serve your time, you get out, right? Why this is even a matter of conversation in Congress, and we have to waste a whole 6 months talking about it, or a year, or 3 years, or 4 years, or 10 years, because they're never going to let it go.
Well, 200 people were arrested in 2017 at Donald Trump's inauguration. 200 people for violently rioting, assaulting police, rioting. There was a declared riot. All of those people had all their charges dropped after January 6th. Anyone 200 plus, there were more than 200 charged, but 200 plus people had their charges dropped after January 6th. They had charges pending for 4 years.
Think about all the people that are going to get charged if Donald Trump wins. Because all we did in 2020 was prove that the double standard is there. We walked right into the double standard trap, right? We knew that they would come after conservatives if we rioted, and we proved them right? If conservatives rioted, they were coming down. They were going to come down with the big yeet hammer on us, right? And we know that. But we also know that if in 2024, if a Republican wins, which God bless our country if it doesn't happen, but if a Republican wins, you don't think they're going to riot and be out in the streets? It won't be, it won't be January 6th. It'll be November 4th.
Yeah, they do that all the time anyway. So they riot, and I mean, I'm very lucky because I said so far maybe it's too damn cold across the country, because I said they're going to have to do that. They're going to have to start rioting in 2022 now to because it works to their benefit. You know what I mean? So I'm a little surprised that they are now, and I think it's with the COVID restrictions, and I got a big feeling like the timing of Omicron and all that stuff, it's very convenient because they have this scapegoat. Today we had a hearing, today was the 5th. We had a hearing the day before this violent extreme, the worst day on our democracy, worse than 9/11, as some people have put it, which doesn't make any effing sense no matter what.
God, that makes no sense.
And then you have Garland, and then you have members of the media that are going out there, no, wow, look at his cup see-through. You have, your cup is completely see-through. That's trippy. Yeah, look at that. But the thing that's funny about it is one person was talking, one member of the media today was talking about how, well, it is the biggest threat to America right now is white supremacists, blah 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 blah. And I guess it was a CNN host who cut off an FBI agent who was talking about the riots and when a Republican is in when a Republican wins the election, there's the right or the left is the one who causes riots and political violence or whatever, and then when there's a Republican in office, the left does that, and it goes back and forth. And that was a CNN commentator or the FBI agent that came on CNN earlier today. And I saw someone that basically said, hey, when the CNN guest started saying something that the CNN host disagreed with, CNN host cut him off and said, well, no, that's not true. According to the FBI, the biggest threat against it in America with domestic terror is the DVEs, domestic violent extremists, is white supremacy. But I want to remind everybody, everyone can make that argument all you want. But when you actually look at the bulletin and you have some knowledge of the issues that have happened over the past year, when you look at the two examples of violent white supremacists, but they're not saying it, but the media picks it up that way, there are two examples of domestic violence extremism in the United States. The two fatal examples they have are leftists that attack people from the right or police. The two fatal examples, the one in Portland where Jay Danielson was executed by a member of Antifa in the self-described Antifa member, and then the cop killer, Boogaloo Boy, that killed the police officers in California, in Oakland, California, the federal police officer Frank Underwood, and then killed the other officers down south before he went out in a blaze of glory. That guy was a leftist Boogaloo. I know what you're thinking. If you're tuning in for the first time, you're like, wait a second, Boogaloo Boys are far right. They're actually not. They hate police. They hate, they hate open government. They hate our country, essentially, and they certainly didn't like Trump. All those people with the Gretchen Whitmer, even though most of them were FBI agents, but the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot, the 5 people that are facing charges and trying to have their charges dropped because they were the other 12 people that were implicated were all FBI or confidential informants. But that's a story for another day.
They might actually get their charges dropped too. They might actually get them dropped.
As well they should. Yeah. With that case, and for
you get set up by FBI. I mean, that 3 out of the 5 people were FBI agents. Am I wrong there? It's 3 of the 5.
So the whole group, because originally it was 16 people that were implicated, but 12 of them were FBI or confidential informants for the FBI.
So 75% of these people were FBI agents. So you had a group of FBI agents that convinced a couple guys, hey, you guys want to do this with us?
It's so much more than that, because what these FBI agents did and many of you guys probably heard about this Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot. It was, in the Trump times last year, she went up and said white supremacy, blah, blah, blah. We were watching the videos because as soon as the names were released of these people, social media did what they did before everyone nuked, because big tech has this pattern. If it's a person on the right, they don't nuke their profiles right away. They wait a couple of hours, they wait a day or two. But if it's a person on the left that's accused of a heinous act, it's immediately nuked. And those are facts. Nobody can dispute that, because we're in the journalism business. So as soon as an event happens, that is the first thing we do. And we search through it, we find the person, and we screenshot everything because we know it's going to be taken down. When we did that for these people from Michigan that were arrested for this grand kidnapping plot, remember they were going to blow up a bridge, and they went to a vacation house. You know who drove to the bridge and selected that as a target? An FBI agent. You know who drove them to Gretchen Whitmer's vacation home to stake it out? An FBI agent. So, how can you, the ringleader of this group was an FBI agent who was fired from the FBI for beating up his wife in a sex ring club thing, and he's not even allowed to testify. He's not testifying on behalf of the state. They won't even call him, nor will they call the other FBI agents that were undercover as part of this group. They're not being called as state's witnesses. So you can't say, It's just mind-boggling. But the reason why we went off on that tangent there is those people were classified as boogaloos or far right. They literally had videos talking about how they hated Donald Trump with Antifa flags and behind them on the videos. But it doesn't matter because and you guys remember, because I'm like, the media's calling him far right. This dude's got an Antifa communism symbol flying behind him as he's talking about how much he hates Donald Trump. How can you make the argument that he's a white supremacist, or you can maybe say he's a white supremacist, but to say he's far right, that's not far right. And that's the thing is no matter what, they just label people as far right. They label people as white supremacists, and that's what does it. And that gets the ire of everybody. Politics is so fragmented. Like, for example, and I'm just talking. Sorry, Adam. I know. I was like, Adam has got to be like stronger and interject in these, but I just go.
No, but you're doing such a great job. I don't want to interrupt you. I don't want to interrupt the flow. I'm like, yeah, you're hitting every point right now, bro. Keep going. Keep going.
Today I was in our city hall here in my small little town. I had to register, get my business license for this location. Something I forgot to do, and so I was in there and I was talking to someone that works for the city, and they're asking me like what I do and all that stuff, and if I'm open to the public, and do I want to be like more involved in like the events here. And I'm like, I don't want to be involved in anything right now because, and they're like, why? And we start talking about politics and the political like feeling of everything, and I'm like, it's so divisive. Like if we do open to the public, it's because someone else is going to be standing up there. Because if I have shirts that say "Let's Go Brandon" hanging up, and someone wants to walk in and criticize me for the shirt, or be like, "Oh, that's really offensive. That has no place in this town," I'm going to be like, "Well, get the fuck out of my store." I don't have that customer service skill where I'm just going to be like, hey, guess what? You know what? You're right. Let's talk about it for 6 hours and get nowhere in life. I already do that every time I try to talk politics with my wife. I'm not going to sit here in my store and do it, So I'm really, I don't know, man. Like I say it every day. The whole purpose of us doing the show every day and the whole purpose of Citizen Stringer is so people just hear a different view. You don't have to agree, and we encourage people to not just believe what we say. We want people to be able to hear it, to understand it, and then do their own research and make up a real mind. Make up the real decisions. You know how many times on TikTok that I go on TikTok, at night and do the live streams and all that, and I specifically ask them, like, what do they think about politics? And a lot of them, it's like a programmed answer. I don't get involved in politics. I don't get involved in politics. And if I can get them just and lately I haven't had the effort, but if I can get them just to go a little bit further with that, then we find out that their idea of politics, their idea of the right, their idea of Donald Trump, their idea of the things that Donald Trump has said, like the losers and suckers thing, which has been debunked, but the media still reports it as truth, about him calling the military losers and suckers, although the 18 people that were with him that day said it never happened, but the media still is like, yeah, guess what, it happened. And all the other, like the speech about the immigrants, the rapists, and whatever, gang members, whatever his thing is, taking it out of context, not playing the whole clip. Just like there were good people on both sides with the whole Charlottesville thing. They didn't listen to it. They don't do it. And so you have so many people that are like, well, he's a white supremacist. And then I'll be like, how? Explain how. Well, he doesn't condemn it. Actually, he has, but dozens and dozens of times. And all it takes is someone willing to actually just do a tiny, tiny bit of research. That's it. It doesn't take anything else but someone that actually wants to just do a tiny, tiny bit of research. And that's the reason why we do this all the time. Right, Adam?
It's literally the exact reason why we do it all the time. I mean, to say that January 6th and the events that happened and the reporting that occurred after that day wasn't an inspiration to even keep doing what we were doing even more would not be the truth. We see it all the time. I mean, again, I read those headlines earlier in the show that, this is we are up against a much bigger fight because, namely, everything you said. Add in the fact that we are up against a fight with facts. We could put out, something and we try to, and what we put out, we fact check 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. We're looking at multiple sources and we make sure we do our homework. Listen, if I'm ever wrong, go find me on Twitter. I love to get in Twitter arguments at Real Adam Jungers on Twitter. Follow me and tell me I'm wrong. But the what we are trying to do is engage you guys to do your own research, not just to believe us, because that's what the other side is doing. The other 60% of America that doesn't try and actually research things, and it's probably more than that. I'm being generous here. It's probably more like 80% of America. Those people, they wake up, they watch Whoopi Goldberg. That's who they enjoy. Behar, enjoy Reed. That's who they get their news from every day. So you guys are probably, I don't know, our viewers are probably in the 1% of people that don't get their news from somewhere like that, right?
I don't know,
And again, all those all those stories that every single one of those news outlets, it's all pay for play. Listen, we talk about it all the time. Why do you think that the media has the stance around COVID-19 that it has? And I won't go any further than that. Why do you think they have the stance on January 6th that they have? Why do you think that nobody wants to talk about Joe Biden and the fact that yesterday he thought the year it was right now was 2020? Just 2 weeks ago, he said, I'm not going back to March 2020. Then yesterday he says, well, looking forward into 2020. You're going like, what in the hell is this dude even talking about right now? And
does he know he's president? That's my real question. Does he know he's president?
No, he doesn't know, because just 3 weeks ago he was joking around on the podium going, well, it could be me, it could be Fauci. No, but seriously, I mean, it's really hard work. I mean, let me be real with you. He says, let me be real with you guys. The strain and stress is real. That's what Joe Biden said, quote. But seriously, we joke about that. And you're going, wait, no, but seriously, we joke about that? Yeah, he doesn't know. Listen,
he's not joking.
I felt bad for the dude on Christmas Eve when he took that phone call. I mean, I know I laughed my ass off probably 100 times watching that video on loop on Twitter when he took the phone call and said, yeah, let's go, Brandon. I agree. You've never seen somebody's face red from laughing so hard. No, but when he did that, I felt bad. Like, clearly the dude's, I mean, he's not with it, dude.
Well, did you see Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden? Did you see her face and how she was like, and then she went, oh, God, he just said that. I agree. Like, that was.
I mean, I don't know. I guess, I don't know. Maybe that's not the the worst thing to pick on him for. Because I mean, what do you say? What's the president of the United States gonna be like? You know what, guy, go fuck yourself. No, he's not gonna do that. So, Donald Trump probably would have done that.
Yeah, thank you, Scout's dad, for all the bits on Twitch. If you guys notice, if you send the super chats, you send Facebook stars. Where's my finger on the camera? Down there. It'll actually show it there, and if you send, and you could also visit f-antifa.live, because we hate Antifa, and contribute directly to the show. That's what pays us to actually be here. So I appreciate everyone that did that. One of the other ways that we get paid to do this is by running a couple of short commercials. This is a new sponsor that we have. I encourage you to check them out. We'll be back in just a few minutes. All right, guys, let me tell you about a new sponsorship opportunity we have here at the Wake Up America podcast. This one's pretty amazing, to be honest, because we're a conservative news outlet. A lot of the things that we talk about sometimes are controversial. So for us getting big sponsors like this, it's pretty exciting, and sponsorships that we actually would recommend to people are pretty exciting too. 2021 has seen over 1 billion records get hacked from major social media sites, national grocery stores, cryptocurrency exchanges, pharmacies, and phone and internet providers, along with fast food, trucking companies, freight brokers, pretty much everyone. A lot of information has been out there, and if you're a user of any of these companies, there's a chance that your personal data has already been compromised. When your passwords leak online, you are at risk of credit card fraud or identity theft, and that could mean that your money could be at risk right now. What can you do to protect yourself? How can you keep up with every new leak? Because it seems like every day, even on our website, we're reporting about a new leak. Well, Aura is a new type of security service that helps protect your online accounts, internet connection, and devices with one simple subscription. So instead of having like an antivirus, a VPN, and a credit monitoring software to keep yourself safe online, Aura has put all of them into one product, which is pretty amazing, to be honest. They will alert you of potential fraud threats, like if someone is trying to open a bank account in your name or attempting to use your social security number. Their apps will also protect your devices from malware and encrypt your Wi-Fi connection so you can shop, bank, and stream online securely. With easy online dashboards and alerts sent straight to your phone, Aura keeps you in control and guides you through solving any issues that may arise. All plans come with a $1 million identity theft insurance to help recover eligible losses and experience US-based customer service that have your back. So if you want to secure your online presence from hackers, scammers, and nosy advertising companies, go to aura.com/citizen. And when you use that link, you'll get up to 40% off all your plans. And they have 3 different type of plans. They have a basic plan, like an intermediate plan, and then a family plan. So for under 40, I think it's under $40 a month, you can actually monitor up to 2 children and yourself and your spouse as well. So it's pretty awesome. Check them out, aura.com/citizen. That is Aura, AURA.com/citizen. Alrighty, so I'm unmuted now. Adam is reading intently. But yeah, that's our new sponsor, so please check him out. That's pretty much all I could say because I got in trouble for saying too much the other day. Great new company. We actually signed up as well, and I know a bunch of you guys did. It's great for us as a company, and it's sometimes it's hard because you know the way we fact check everything and the way when we write news articles, we're very regimented and we do a lot of research. We did a lot of research into this company. There's a lot of companies like them, but this one, I like it because it kind of envelop all the different features, the VPNs, the identity theft, and the bank protection and all that stuff. So check them out. You got to use that whole link, though, in order to get the discount. So go to aura.com/citizen. Anyway, what do we got next, Adam? It's on you. Let's go.
So I just wanted to bring this up. Lori Lightfoot has got an just amazing track record with the city of Chicago, and she's she's doing such a great job there. She's won over the teachers union once again. They love her. They're totally Team Lightfoot. As teachers are now refusing to go back to in-person learning, which Lightfoot said in an earlier press conference earlier today, that it was an illegal stoppage of work. That was a quote out of that conference there. This is just, I'm so confused. Lori Lightfoot, she wants, they want cities to be shut down. They want kids to wear masks. They want people to, they want mandates everywhere. But then when teachers want to stay home and try and be safe, they say, no, you can't do that, right? Listen, I'm all for kids going to school and having that, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. But this is just another feud. In this isn't just going to happen in Chicago. Chicago's just the fire starter to one of the Democratic cities. Watch in the next 72 hours. It'll be LA. It'll be New York. Atlanta will probably join the team. We started off our week this week with virtual learning as well. So I'm not absent of that same Democrat ran city crap, like these other cities are. But, I just wanted to bring it up because this is an ever growing problem that we're seeing with Omicron. So
but what's more interesting when you actually think about that and how they that the teachers have voted, but I think it was 73% of the teachers union voted to refuse to go to work and do their damn jobs. What's more interesting to think about is how many millions of dollars the city of Chicago got in CARES Act funding and special coronavirus funding to get their schools up to par to be able to return to in-person learning. President Biden has stated numerous times that even as bad as this whole thing is supposedly, kids can go to school. He said, you'll be protected if you get vaccinated, which we weren't going to go live. I have one thing to say on Citizen Stringer after that I can't say here, but I have some data. Matter of fact, you know what? No, I'm not doing it. I want to keep my platform. So we were going to try to end by 9.
It's so hard.
It is. It's hard because I want to try to talk about the COVID stuff. So let's just go to some programming, and then we're going to end a little bit early, jump on Citizen Stringer just for a few minutes, talk about this COVID data that we have. And let me give an update. Tomorrow, we are not going to be doing a live stream at 8 o'clock. We're going to have a pre-recorded show, Adam and I, that's going to play at 9 o'clock after the Pete Santilli show tomorrow night. Now, we're doing it for 2 reasons. One, this has been a trying week on me with the insurance. And by the way, the insurance claim was denied, so I had to play hardball. Apparently, the house is going to get cleaned now because I threatened to get litigious. And so now, apparently, our house is going to get cleaned. We still don't know when, but the insurance claim was denied, so the insurance isn't going to pay for the cleaning of the house, and so I'm kind of still stuck in the middle. So it's been a trying week for me, so I want to try to get out here early today and take tomorrow night off and not have to, sit here all night and be away from my family and all. I see my wife. I've said in the past 2 days, I've seen my wife a total of an hour, including in the morning for coffee. So I just want to hang out and do that stuff. But so tomorrow night, we're not going to have a live show. We will have an all new show that's going to air only on Citizen Stringer at 9:00 live. It'll be available on demand for everybody to watch for free if you don't have a Citizen Stringer account by either tomorrow night by 10 o'clock or likely Friday morning. And we'll probably talk a little bit more about these lockdowns, or not the lockdowns. We'll talk a little bit more. Well, we'll probably talk about lockdowns because it'll only be on Citizen Stringer. But we'll probably talk a little bit, too, about a little more in depth about January 6th and some of the news coverage that we've seen over the course of the day. And so we're going to record it around, I don't know what, 1 o'clock tomorrow. So, and we'll air it at 9. Also an update too, effective today. Today's the last day you'll be able to watch the Wake Up America podcast on Citizen Stringer TV's YouTube page. So we're going to actually try to switch it. It's just going to be on the podcast page, all the news. And today we showed a hearing that was on Wake Up America podcast, the January 6th hearing. We're not going to show those. So if you don't already follow both of the YouTube pages, please make sure April will put the links in both of them. But the reason why we're doing that is to try to keep it. Both pages are monetized now. We want to try to keep that and not just have duplicate content on each page. So I think that's the best way to do it. So if you're watching on the Citizen Stringer TV page and you don't know, go in your YouTube page and search for the Wake Up America podcast. That is the main page for this show, and you'll be able to watch it from now on, and vice versa. If you want to watch all of our hearings, Jen Psaki's press conferences, things like that, make sure you follow Citizen Stringers TV's YouTube page, because that's where we're going to be broadcasting. And we won't be broadcasting those on the Wake Up America podcast because we're trying to fight this shadow ban, and I think that may be one thing to do if we keep this purely for that. We're also, Adam and I are going to start putting some mini rant clips up. Probably a couple of them a week, either him ranting about something, away from the cameras, away from the studios, just like our backs up against the wall, kind of, because that's kind of the theme of what's happening right now in our country, our backs against the wall. So that, right? Adam, you got anything else to say? Where can they follow you, Adam? Because I have all my links up there. You don't.
I don't. So everything is still in Freedom Flashpoint on Facebook. Twitter at Real Adam Jungers is the best place to follow me at. I think I set up a getter. I did it last night when I was in bed and I was kind of tired, so I don't know if I did or not.
I set up a getter and made the initial tweet and never tweeted again, or whatever. Get. I don't know what you call it. It's not tweet.
Listen, I will say this. I'm not. I don't want to jump on the bandwagon of everyone abandoning Twitter, but we have to fight against big tech. So do yourself a favor. If you want to listen to the rest of the show, come over to citizenstringer.tv, sign up for a membership, help us out. We know we had some issues last night. We believe we had all of those corrected. I worked all afternoon on with our server team and our CDN to get everything fixed. So thank you guys for bearing with us and being patient the last 48 hours and dealing with those issues. Also, before we go, I want to say a quick message too. If you live in one of these cities that you're dealing with crime, you're dealing with shootings, and you're dealing with a bunch of BS, and you want to protect yourself, you want to protect your family. Oh shoot, we'll do it again. Get yourself some Spartan armor. Go to SpartanArmorSystems.com. Use code YEET. You get a discount on your order. They've got a really short lead time right now, so you can get your orders in right after Christmas. They've got great deals, a lot of good specials. Check them out, SpartanArmorSystems.com.
All right, cool. All right, thank you, everyone on social media. Citizen Stringer, folks. We'll see you over there for a quick COVID talk in about 45 seconds.
You've been listening to Wake Up America with Stephen Oatley. Unapologetically American and unapologetically honest. Join us each night at 8 p.m. for more daily headlines, politics, and social issues.